Hi, Parul.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
Parul,
ma'am, you
now
are
you are.
audible.
Parul, sorry, I wasn't sure. I turned on this chat and I clicked on your name and it started calling. I don't know how this works with the people
No
added
worries,
in the
no
chat.
worries.
Yeah. So, Parul, will you make the recording of the session so that it comes on the GIZ OneDrive and then we can download the recording?
Yes, the recording is all automatically started because I've put in the settings within the meeting itself.
Okay.
Um, as once it's done, I think we can cut it short because right now I didn't have in my own teams, I didn't have the personal access to recording. No? But yeah, it'll
Okay.
be done, no worries.
Super, super. That's great. Parul, we were seeing your WhatsApp screen. Maybe you could stop sharing and share it again.
I am not sharing right now. Ravi, so can you please stop sharing your screen at the moment? Or maybe you can just share this one window on the background. Hello, Ravi, sir. Requesting you to please share the background for the, or I can, yeah, please. And can you make it full screen? Thank you. Good afternoon and good morning to all of you. Um, a very warm welcome to the online workshop. And I would just say maybe we wait to more minutes, and then we begin with the um, session. Thank you all for joining already. Okay, I think now we have some amount of participants already joined in. I will then formally begin the webinar and workshop. Um, I, yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning. On behalf of the Department of
Uh,
Telecommunications, Government of India,
Parul ma'am, please can you wait
yes,
for a few minutes because DG sir has not joined yet.
No, I have joined, Ravi.
Oh,
I
right.
have joined.
he has
Right.
joined. Yes, great. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. So, yeah, on behalf of the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, National Communications Academy Technology, Ghaziabad, and GIZ India, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome all distinguished speakers, government officials, representatives from industry, academia, international organizations, and all the participants for joining us today from India and across the globe. Welcome to today's online global workshop on accelerating circular economy in India's telecom sector, global best practices and industry experiences. The workshop is being organized under the EU-India Resource Efficiency and Circular Economy Initiative implemented by GIZ, along with the initiative on identifying circular pathways for high-value plastics on e-waste. This is in collaboration with the Department of Telecommunications as well as NCAT Ghaziabad. Now, as India's digital infrastructure continues to expand rapidly through 5G, fiber deployment, data centers, and emerging digital technologies, ensuring that this growth is also resource efficient and circular has become increasingly important. And today's workshop aims to build awareness and facilitate knowledge on that topic. It plans to exchange on circular economy approaches in telecom and ICT by bringing together experts from India, from Germany, and from international organizations to share experiences, best practices, practical implementation pathways. Before we formally begin with the inaugural, I would just I would just like your kind attention on few housekeeping points. All participants are by default muted and their cameras are shut. At the moment, to support the smooth process for the webinar, but as we proceed towards the Q&A, we will then facilitate with the option for all of the participants. Participants are encouraged to post their questions in the chat, or you will see a Q&A dialogue in the options for the meeting. You are encouraged to please post your questions, and once we proceed to the Q&A section, we will address those. For the webinar is being recorded for documentation and knowledge sharing purposes. So I request all of you that as we proceed into the webinar, we take your consent for recording. Also, I urge all the participants to kindly register themselves through the shared forms link by NCAT, as all the participants will be receiving certificates for this webinar. With that, now I formally commence today's program, and it is my privilege to invite our distinguished dignitary for the inaugural address, Shri Atul Sinha, ITS, just a second, is a Director General NCAT Ghaziabad. Sir is an ITS officer of a 1991 batch. He's currently serving as Director General, National Communications Academy Technology in Ghaziabad, India. With an exemplary experience of more than 30 years, Sir has served in pivotal roles within the Department of Telecommunications, NCAT, and on deputation in Bihar State Government. He's got several international exposure in different programs, including ITO Study Tour in Geneva and e-government leaderships programs in Estonia. Sir is the recipient of Vishisht Sanchar Seva Padak. Sir has the rare distinction of being the principal architect and drafter of India's National Telecom Policy 2025, a landmark document setting the vision and roadmap for India's leadership in digital age. Now, with that, may I now request Shri Atul Sinha, sir, Director General NCAT, to kindly deliver the inaugural address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. Distinguished representatives from GIZ India, eminent international and national experts, officers from DOT headquarters, various field units at LSAs, TEC, National Communication Academy, representatives from telecom industry, academia, research institutions, development partners, and dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to inaugurate this online global workshop on accelerating circular economy in India's telecom sector, global best practices and industry experiences, jointly organized by the National Communication Academy Ghaziabad in association with GIZ India under the EU India Resource Efficiency and Circular Economy Initiative. Dear participants, at the outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished speakers, experts, policymakers, industry leaders, academia, and participants from India and abroad who have joined us today in this important session. I'd also like to express my sincere appreciation to GIZ India and all collaborating organizations for their valuable partnership in organizing this important global workshop. You all know that the telecom sector has emerged as a key enabler of socio-economic development and digital transformation in last 1 decade, 1 or 2 decades. With rapid technological advancements, increasing deployment of digital infrastructure, expansion of broadband networks, and proliferation of connected devices and accelerated adoption of emerging technologies like 5G, IoT, artificial intelligence, and cloud services, the telecom ecosystem is growing at an unprecedented pace. I don't think anybody can have a second opinion on the unprecedented pace of growth of telecom ecosystem. Friends, while these developments are creating immense opportunities for innovation and inclusive growth, they are also leading to increasing consumption of natural resources. They are also generating a lot of electronic waste, and they are having growing environmental concerns. The traditional linear economic model of take, make, and dispose is no longer sustainable in the present scenario for the long run, for the long future. And therefore, there's an urgent need to transition towards a circular economy framework that emphasizes resource efficiency, repair, reuse, refurbishment, recycling, and responsible end of life management of telecom and ICT equipment. We know that a circular economy is not merely an environmental imperative, it has also become an economic and a strategic opportunity. It offers pathways for reducing resource dependency, enhancing material security, creating green jobs, fostering innovation, improving business resilience, and of course, promoting sustainable consumption and production patterns. I'm really happy to note that, in line with the Honorable Prime Ministers of India's vision for promoting a circular economy mission and India's commitment towards sustainable development, the Department of Telecommunications has prepared the report titled Vision, Strategy and Action Plan for Circular Economy in the Indian Telecom Sector. This comprehensive roadmap, developed through extensive stakeholder consultations by an interministerial committee comprising representatives from NITI Aayog, Ministry of Electronics and IT, MOE, FCC, Mahua, industry, academia, and other key stakeholders, provides a strategic framework for transitioning India's telecom sector towards a sustainable and regenerative future. Friends, I'm happy to also share with you that this report is approved by the Honorable Minister of Communication in January 2026. This outlines a Vision 2030 for an innovative, inclusive, and circular telecom ecosystem and recommends policy measures, institutional mechanisms, technology interventions, capacity building initiatives, and also the collaborative business models to advance circularity across the telecom value chain. I am particularly pleased that this workshop has brought together a distinguished panel of global and national experts, namely Ms. Naomi Pralat from the International Telecommunication Union Switzerland, Dr. Henning Never from Dutch Telecom Group Germany, Shri Amit Kumar Anand from Nokia India, Shri Manish Kukreja from RV Solutions India, and experts from ZIZ India, Dr. Reva Prakash and Ms. Parul Singh. Their variable insights and practical experiences on resource efficiency, sustainable telecom practices, product life extension, repair and refurbishment ecosystem, and global circularity strategies will undoubtedly enrich our understanding and help identify actionable pathways for advancing circularity in India's telecom sector. I am confident that the deliberations during this workshop will contribute significantly towards strengthening institutional capacities, fostering industry academia government collaboration, and accelerating the implementation of circular economy principles within India's rapidly expanding telecom sector. I congratulate the organizing team of Transmission and NGS Division of National Communication Academy and India, and also the ZIZ India for conceptualizing and organizing this timely and highly relevant global workshop. With these words, I once again welcome all participants and wish this online global workshop every success. I am pleased to formally inaugurate this online global workshop on accelerating circular economy in India's telecom sector, global best practices and industry experiences, and declare the workshop open for deliberations. Thank you. Jai Hind. Over to you, Parul.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring and insightful address. Your remarks have effectively highlighted the importance of sustainability and circularity in shaping the future of India's telecom sector. Thank you once again. With that, I would like to now begin our dialogue on the circular economy, when we talk about circular economy in India's telecom sector, and would like to now briefly set the context for on circular economy in telecom sector and introduce the broader circularity landscape for India's telecom and ICT sector. Allow me a second to just share a quick presentation here. Yes. Could Asmita or a colleague could confirm if my slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am, these are visible. Please continue.
Thank you, Raviji. Okay, again, good afternoon, everyone. As Sir has rightly highlighted, India moves rapidly towards becoming a digitally empowered economy, ensuring that the digital transition is also sustainable and resource efficient is becoming increasingly important. And it is very rightly that we are having this deliberation and this dialogue at this moment, because now we can simultaneously expand the infrastructure in a more circular manner. As you can see here, as we know, India's telecom sector is witnessing unprecedented growth. Today, India has almost 100 crore broadband subscribers, more than 3 million BTS base transceiver stations, and nearly universally 5G coverage across districts. Alongside this, the data center capacity has also increased almost 4 times by 2025. However, the rapid growth in technology also gives scope for more volumes of electronic waste. Globally, e-waste generation already has reached 62 million tons and is expected to increase to 82 million tons by 2030. This represents an important focus for the e-waste, and for us to not just look at the telecom waste as a e-waste, but rather an important secondary resource, and also has a significant focus on the critical minerals, the valuable metals, and the high value engineered plastics. If we look at the electronics sector, there are different materials that contribute and are increasingly, if we see the telecom equipment, the IT hardware, the mobile phones are increasingly contributing to the overall contribution to electronic sector inflow. With just a second, with mobile phones being the larger one, but followed closely followed by IT sector, strategic electronics, hardwares, and then telecom equipment. When we discuss about telecom circularity, we need to move beyond the conventional recycling discussions and take our approach towards three interconnected dimensions. First being the materials that are ranging from metals like copper, aluminum, steel, plastics, ABS, PS, HIPS, batteries. Then secondly, on regulatory and reporting aspects, um, such as e-waste compliance, EPR, and then moving on to the supply chain, covering take-back systems, reverse logistics, refurbishment, recycling, and downstream market development. Telecom waste is highly diverse, but if we have to broadly categorize, we can categorize it into three main streams. First is the network infrastructure that contains such as BTS routers, then customer premises equipment, and then passive infrastructure that contains cables, battery towers, hardware, and all of that. Each stream contains different material and therefore requires differentiated collection and refurbishment, recovery, recycling approaches. Despite significant opportunities, several barriers still continue to limit circularity, mainly the first being the operationally, there is limited visibility of assets once deployed, and collection systems remains fragmented. Economically, the reverse logistics, uncertain residual values is often a critical risk. And then from a governance perspective, multiple actors operate across the value chain with different reporting practices and also hardly challenging the traceability um, gaps. Looking ahead, several new waste streams are also emerging. Like we have highlighted, fiber optics, along with extensive material use, IoT proliferation, and lastly, but not least at all, the AI and data center turnover. These trends underline the importance of proactive planning today, and rather than reactive management that can be retrofitted. When we talk about future priorities for 2030, we also from the strategy and action plan that is developed with Department of Telecom, we can come on to a few priorities such as asset traceability and digital passports, circular procurement like eco-design, design for repairability, design for disassembly, refurbishment of life extension network equipment refurbishment, and component reuse, and then of course critical material recovery that includes rare earth elements, precious metals, battery materials, and high value engineering plastics. If we talk about circularity, the highest value in a circular economy is retained when products remain in use for longer life cycle. Therefore, repair, reuse, refurbishment, and remanufacturing should always be prioritized before recycling. While recycling remains important, especially when we talk about high value plastics and critical minerals, um, they often have the largest economic and environmental benefits. Moving forward, telecom circularity will require integrated efforts across the entire life cycle, from a design's perspective to procurement and material recovery. This is precisely why today's dialogue and exchange of global experiences and best practices is important. And with that, I would then hand over to the stage to all of our speakers and esteemed experts for joining us today and helping us to shape the dialogue when we talk about the circularity of ICT and telecom sector for India. Thank you so much. Um, it is now my pleasure to invite our first speaker, Ms. Naomi Pilat. Correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. She is a circular economy program associated at the International Telecommunications Union. Um, With in-depth experience of global environmental governance and sustainability, she specializes in guiding policymakers towards a circular economy for electronics and a green digital transformation. Ms. Naomi is an alumni of the Geneva Graduate Institute of International and Development Studies. With that, I invite you, Naomi, to speak on the topic of drivers and strategic relevance when we talk about resource efficient circular economy in ICT and telecom sector. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all attendees today. First of all, let me thank the organizing team of the webinar for this opportunity to share more on resource efficiency and circular economy in the ICT sector. My name is Noémie Prala. I contribute to ITU's circular economy program within the ITU. So some of you may be very familiar with ITU already in the telecom space. The International Telecommunication Union is the UN, United Nations specialized agency for information and communication technologies. And we work with governments, regulators, industry, academia, and as well regional and other international organizations. This multi-stakeholder model and network that we have is very important when we speak of circularity, because circular economy challenges, they cannot be resolved by one single stakeholder. And, you know, bringing together 194 member states, but we also have members coming from the private sector, academia, and international and regional organizations. You know, working on e-waste and circular economy work requires coordination between, you know, regulators, government representatives, but also private sector. And so we have a global membership that's supported by a regional presence that also helps translate guidance into local action. So we have a global footprint throughout our headquarters in Geneva, where I connect from, but we also have regional and area offices, allowing it to support countries and regions in ways that reflect local realities. And for those of you who might be based in New Delhi, we opened an area office and innovation center in 2023. So real quick, I would like to introduce ITU's program to which I contribute on creating a circular economy for electronics. The objective of our program is very much to help regulators and the electronics sector move towards legally transparent, sustainably financed, and digitally supported e-waste management systems. So briefly, I'd like to explain the four components. We have a regulation component where on demand, we formulate, we help draft national policy, regulation, and legislation document. So preparing legally binding regulations and obligations, and that we do by organizing in-depth consultations with government, with the electronics industry players and all relevant stakeholders in that space. But we also provide advice to policymakers on circular economy policy and capacity building, therefore. On extended producer response management costs with e-waste recycling companies. So we have a series of forms and guidance on how to calculate system fees, how to capacitate producers, may they be importers of equipment, distributors, manufacturers. How do we create an accountable system? How do we make the third pillar is very much about data, which makes the system measurable. And finally, on procurement, we try and help shape demand for more sustainable ICT products. So how do we prepare for circular procurement guidance? And that we do also by consulting procurement teams for ICT purchases and training procurement professionals from government departments. So this work is highly guided by ITU mandates and targets, which you can see on the left of my slide, which includes targets on e-waste policy, legislation, trying to boost sustainable ICT use, environment, climate change, and circular economy. And now we are speaking, of course, about a webinar related to India, and I briefly want to mention our latest work in India. This is under the context of an international knowledge exchange initiative between 6 countries, which is sponsored by Colombia through its Presidential Agency for Cooperation, and targeting 6 countries, including India. And the goal of this current project that we're having is to bring together experts from the 6 participating countries to 3 study tours, one of which took place in India, in New Delhi, last February this year. And it was hosted by the Department of Telecommunications. Some of you might have attended our event with the collaboration of the Telecom Engineering Center. And so we had 79 participants in February from 41 entities, and notable participation from the telecom sector, including but not limited to Nokia India, Ericsson India, the Cellular Operators Association of India, Bharti Airtel Limited. And so what we did during the program was bring together all of these experts to share knowledge about how circular economy practices are being taken forward in the ICT space in India. And as a special activity, we also visited an e-waste management facility and, of course, our innovation center located in New Delhi. So now more about the context. E-waste is the fastest growing waste stream globally. And it's both a challenge and an opportunity, because if e-waste is poorly managed, it creates environmental and health risks. But at the same time, we've heard from the previous presentation, e-waste contains very valuable material. We speak about globally 31 billion kilograms of valuable metals, representing approximately 91 billion US dollars, including copper, gold, iron. Much of this value, though, remains untapped because e-waste is still managed outside of formal collection and recycling channels. And within ITU, we produce every 3 years the Global E-Waste Monitor, which is a key evidence base for the following data on e-waste. And the monitor helps quantify how much e-waste is being generated globally, how much is formally collected and recycled, and where the biggest gaps remain. Data is essential for policy. Without reliable data, countries cannot set realistic targets, they cannot design financing mechanisms, they cannot measure compliance or assess whether interventions are working. So this is the data from the 2024 edition, but we are working on an edition of the Global E-Waste Monitor to come out next year. So we'll have updated data very soon. So I'd like first to point out that e-waste is not one single product category. It includes large equipment, small equipment, screens and monitors, temperature exchange equipment, lamps, and small IT and telecommunication equipment. This is the global harmonized categorization. And I would also like to point out that different product types require different collection and treatment approaches. Especially in the telecom sector, you might have equipment which can involve different risks, values, and recycling pathways. When e-waste is not collected and processed through appropriate channels, valuable materials, as I've said, are lost from the economy. And these losses are not only environmental, they're also economic and strategic, because recovered materials, they can reduce pressure on primary extraction, and they can also strengthen resource security. And so, of course, formal recycling system, they need both technical capacity and stable financing. And so without those conditions, valuable materials, they're very difficult to recover at a scale that's sustainable for a sector. And when we zoom in, the global e-waste actually has many critical raw materials, but currently we have low or zero recycling efficiencies. But looking at the telecom sector, critical raw materials matter because they're used in components such as magnets, batteries, displays, semiconductors, network equipment. And if all of these materials are lost at the end of life, then the sector remains very dependent on primary extraction and vulnerable supply chains. The challenge is therefore not only material recovery, but also just how the regional gap between e-waste generated and documented recycling. So here on the slides, you see that critical raw materials in global e-waste, including neodymium, yttrium, dysprosium, in quite high quantities. If we zoom in on the regions and we compare e-waste generated with e-waste documented as formerly recycled and collected across regions, we have a consistent patterns that formal collection and recycling remains very far below generation. And of course, the gap varies by region because not all of the global regions that we work with have the same progress in legislation, infrastructure. They don't have the same market conditions or enforcement systems. I want to emphasize that improving collection rates requires more than awareness. It requires clear obligations, accessible collection points, responsible industry and producers, financing, and reliable data. And if we zoom in on the Asian region, and specifically India, as per our Global E-Waste Monitor 2024, India was the second largest e-waste generator in the region with 4,137 million kilograms generated in 2022. But India also has the opportunity to be a forerunner in the region in terms of e-waste legislation and infrastructure. And just the number of people on this call interested in the topic makes me very positive about the future for e-waste management in India. So, you know, as I've mentioned, countries with e-waste legislation, they achieve on average a collection and recycling rate of around 25%. If we look at those without legislation, often they remain close to zero. And so there's a clear nuance. Legislation alone is not sufficient, but it's a necessary foundation because it creates the legal basis for assigning responsibility for circularity and e-waste management, financing of the system, collection of data, but also enforcing compliance. I believe it's very important to frame the ICT sector as both part of the challenge and part of the solution because the ICT sector generates equipment and infrastructure that eventually become e-waste, but it also provides the digital tools needed for more transparent circular economy systems. And so when we look at best practices and future next steps for driving sustainability of the ICT sector, I see four main areas. Enabling circular economy practices. This means designing equipment for repair, recyclability, durability, promoting reuse, refurbishment, and longer product life cycles, but also reducing material use through dematerialization and solutions for end-of-life product management. The ICT sector is also a forerunner with innovation of digital solutions. So, we can use data systems to track products, waste flows, and recycling rates. I also see a driver in enabling smart collection, reverse logistics, and traceability, but also just digital platforms for repair, resale, sharing of information. When we zoom in on sustainable business models, some trends currently and next steps would be product as service, leasing models, take-back systems, and within ITU, we work a lot on extended producer responsibility schemes, but also just incentives for repair and refurbishment markets. And when we zoom in on the sector footprint, of course, a key discussion right now is about how we can develop energy efficient networks and especially data centers with the increase of the use of AI, but also responsible sourcing of critical raw materials and green procurement. Good governance is the bridge between having laws on paper and achieving results in practice, and implementation depends on clear roles, enforceable obligations, transparent information flows, and transparent financial flows. And, digitalization can really make compliance easier to monitor. Through digital tools, we can support registration, reporting, contracting, auditing, payments, tracking against collection, repair, and recycling targets. So well-designed e-waste management and circular systems, they map out stakeholder relationships, they map out compliance procedures before implementation, because without that mapping, laws can be very difficult to enforce once they're gazetted. And just some inspiration from other countries that we've worked in. Recently, we have worked in Zambia, and I would like to introduce Zambia as an example of how the ICT regulator can help move the telecom and wider ICT sector towards circularity. We've been supporting Zambia since 2023 in identifying measures to improve circular economy in the ICT space, but also prepare for EPR compliance. And so how they've building the system is licensing of ICT dealers and mobile network operators can be linked to sustainability requirements. For example, proof of EPR compliance, such as producer responsibility membership, fee payment, they can become part of the licensing or renewal process for ICT dealers and telecom operators license renewal. So as a broader lessons, we're looking at how telecom regulators can create incentives for awareness raising, compliance, and take back by using existing sector governance tools. Of course, we'll hear some more presentations which are more tailored to the Indian context, but I wanted to focus mine on critical strategic drivers to set the global scene. If you're looking for more details on what I just presented, feel free to use the resources that I've added to these slides. The policy practices publication on the left, it provides practical tools for e-waste management systems and specifically for policymakers. And on the right, you can have a link to our program webpage to have more information about the countries we work in and our current ongoing projects. Please scan the QR code to access it. With that, I'd like to reinforce a final message. Circular economy in the ICT sector is not only about managing waste at the end of life, it's about designing better systems across the full life cycle of equipment. So we're looking at policy, product design, procurement, use, reuse, repair, recycling, and of course, data management. But we'll have the opportunity to discuss more later in the webinar. I'd like to thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Noemi, for sharing the global perspectives on innovation, business model, network efficiency, EPR, AI, and all of the topics, and also through that highlighting the strategic importance of circularity for the ICT and telecom sector. Thank you again. Before moving on to our next speaker, I would I would quickly like to highlight to all of the participants to please register themselves to the shared link by NCAT. All the registered participants will be receiving participation certificates. So I urge you to please take note of that. With that, now I welcome our next speaker, Mr. Amit Kumar Anand. He is the Head of Regulatory Policy and Industry Relations at Nokia India. Mr. Kumar represents Nokia at a key policy and industry forums and works on regulatory affairs, sustainability, and EPR compliance. He has over 3 decades of experience in telecom and is actively engaged in advancing 5G, 6G, Industry 4.0, private networks, and digital transformation initiatives. He has been actively engaged in policy, sustainability, and regulatory initiatives within the sector. I invite you, Mr. Anand, for sharing insights on sustainable and circular initiatives by Telecom company. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Parul. And hope I am audible.
Yes, you are. And your screen
Yeah.
is visible.
Okay, great. Thanks. So first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to Department of Telecom, NCAT, and GIG India for sharing the Nokia journey in sustainability and what way we have started and what kind of strategy we are adopting till now and in the future. So just move forward. So before we start, let me just share the Nokia journey as a sustainable leader in the telecom industry. And this is not a basically a journey that we just did a tick mark. We took a bold ambition and did a continuous evolution towards along with the technological evolution in the industry. And this story sets the stage for what we want to do next in our sustainability momentum. Nokia's leadership in sustainability is not just about our meeting the targets, like I mentioned. It's about setting them, achieving them, and raising the bar as we move towards the AI super cycle. So if you see over here, let me, if I just take the point that voluntarily we started, issuing our people and planet report. So nowadays, every year, we in the month of March/April, we issue our annual report on people and planet, which talks about our sustainability report, the initiatives which we have taken both towards sustainability, circularity, reuse of material, and what additional efforts we are doing to be more sustainable and reliable and secure in this overall environment. So we started in 1999 as a voluntary part, and in 2017, our CEO set the science-based targets that in 2030, what we want to achieve as a telecom vendor in the industry. And there was a famous line, there is no green without digital. That was the tagline which Nokia CEO put in, that this is the way we want to achieve on this. Then in 23, sustainability was integrated over Nokia corporate strategy. So it becomes one of the pillar that we want to drive apart from technological evolution. We need to take care of all the sustainable development in the industry. 24, we one of the first in ICT sector with science-based target, validated net zero 2040 targets. So greenhouse gas emission target we have set for net zero in 2040. In 25, we have got some awards also, ranked #1 sustainable company in the communication industry, number 37 world most sustainable companies, 9th among the world most ethical companies. And we are getting consistent awards from the ethosphere and all. So if you see the target which we set in 2017 on the science-based target, here we have the brief of these targets are that reduce the absolute scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emissions by 50%, 95% on circularity rate, including our packaging, reuse of plastic, reducing the plastic material, and then how we can make use of metallic component, ferrous, non-ferrous, or even the rare elements into our overall telecom product manufacturing processes. So this is a journey which we have started in 1999, but it has become part and pillar post of our, and along with technological evolution, that what we have started. So what is the Nokia strategy on this sustainability? So Nokia talks about Nokia's sustainability strategy focus on imperative of connecting intelligence. So till now our tagline was that connecting people, but now the AI cycle coming in. So it is basically the intelligence built into the hands of in the mobile or anything else we are talking today. So it is connecting the intelligence while being responsible for tomorrow's people and planet. So that's the strategy we are focused on. Our vision is to become our customers' most trusted connectivity partner during innovation and resilience for the future. We believe the future belongs to those who act boldly, and Nokia is really committed to lead the way in sustainability, like the journey I have shared in the previous slide. And how we are focused on our developing our strategy. So we are taking to multi-pronged approach over here. The first is that we are looking into the geopolitical environment. how the ESG is being driven, what are the agendas and headwinds, and we are seeing that a lot of geopolitical changes happening across the globe. Then the climate change, again, because of geopolitics, the climate change, climate is really impacted, and we are taking care of those. And the other thing is that technological evolution of because of AI data centers coming in across the world, we need to take care of both energy and the other needs. So there also we are looking into that, and which is linked to the energy transition, that how we need to move from the normal energy requirement or coal based to the renewable energy resources or natural energy resources which we are talking about. And parallelly, we are seeing that how the technological evolutions and our customer demands are there, so that we are matching the sustainable development, and at the same time we are able to deliver to the customer as per their requirements. So we're working on the AI super cycles, data center growth I just talked about, and then during that we need to enable people also. So that's one of the pillar also which I'll just talk about in future next slides, that what we are going to do in, or we are doing actually now in this area as well. Empowering customers and end users, providing them connectivity, and the on top of it is the bridging the digital divide. So that's very important, one of the agenda for us in our sustainable development, that how we bring the connect the unconnected people on the on this planet. And business performance linked to sustainability, basically all the energy efficiency, decarbonization, circularity, all such topics are there. So these are the two strong strategies which we are where we are our sustainable, all of sustainability strategies working on. So if we say in Nokia, sustainability is not negotiable at all. And other thing is nowadays, like we have seen the previous two presenters and colleagues have shared, that this is becoming all our customers, they are also fully aware, and in any RFQs and all, they are demanding the kind of sustainabilities or ESG requirement, that how we are performing. And nowadays in India, I think, let me just touch base for this, even from the SEBI, Stock Exchange Board of India, they registered, sorry for this, because I'm on external link. Yeah. The stock listed company, they have to report their, that whatever business they are doing with from their partners, at least in telecom, what I can tell, they have to report the data to the BRSR. Reports are being submitted by the telecoms or the companies over here, the top 500 listed companies in the SEBI. So this is the activity which have been happening, which Naomi was talking, one of the India context. So that's the reason it is coming as a requirement in our RFQs also. So sustainability gives a protection both for us as well as our customers for long-term development, so that the circularity comes into play, and then also it leads to good future growth for us. So Nokia is connecting intelligence how? So our focus is that we minimize our footprint and maximize our handprint. So when we say footprint and handprint, is basically footprint is that we are reducing or giving a negative impact to overall our operations, that which have a negative impact to the environment. In our technological development, in our manufacturing processes, we are trying to reduce that. And wherein on the other hand side, we are trying to increase the benefit of our technological evolution, which are going to happen, which, let's say, the products are more energy efficient, they are using recycled materials, in the plastic is getting reduced, packaging is further improved. So these are the things. The basic thing is footprint and handprint, reduce the impact and maximize the benefit. The basic strategic impact areas where we are really focused, which is our vision, that we are customers' most trusted and connectivity partners. So these are the 4 pillars which I will talk about a little bit in detail, actually in brief, about that. The focus area of our overall sustainability cycle is that decarbonization and circular transition, bridging the digital divide, supply chain resilience, and responsible use of technology. And the enablers for this is that we do continuous engagement with our customers. Ecosystem collaboration, when we say ecosystem collaboration, it's our partners, it's our EMS partners, it's our supply chain partners, the component suppliers, in the packaging suppliers. So with all these things, it's a continuous collaboration which happens where we evolve the things. And then the innovation is again a co-creation which we are doing in-house as well as with our partners and customers. And then, like I said, this bringing a digital divide or doing more thing in distillation so that we are able to reduce a lot of carbon footprint, use of less paper and all the things. So these are the key enablers which we are doing, and the focus is on this. So right now, in the paucity of time, I will just discuss one thing on the four key impact areas that where we are focused and which are going to deliver results for us. So in case of decarbonization and circular transition, what our focus is that accelerate decarbonization. Basically, this is going to add, first of all, in our net zero greenhouse emission by 2040. So in case of decarbonization, the five pillars which is talking about is that we accelerate decarbonization of Nokia's own operations. So wherever in our factories, in our offices possible, we are using renewable energies, or we are in-house either through solar, or we are taking from different sources of wind energy, solar, and other places from the grids. So we are trying to reduce. And as you speak, let me just to give you an example. We have a factory in Chennai where we are manufacturing the radio products from 2G to 5G till now for last 15, 17 years. We are using 80% renewable energy in that. So that's the level of achievement. And our target is that next couple of years, we will go 100% renewable energy in our factory operation in India. Enhance product energy efficiency to break the energy as a capacity curve. Basically, it's the efficiency of the products which we are manufacturing, the chipsets we are using, the system on chips, or the GPUs we are co-creating with our partners, is that they should be energy efficient. They should not be energy jugglers. So that's the plan of, and this is the demand of our customers also, that because this is the big cost, energy infra is a big cost for any operator in country, whether in country or globally. Decarbonization of supply chain. Again, we are shortlisting, we are engaging with the supply partners to follow such ESG procedures so that we have they are partner in our, not only in supply chain game, they are partner in overall the game of sustainable development. So that's the thing we are also discussing with them. We encourage them, and then that's the plan they also follow with it. And parallelly, like we get the requirements in our RFQs, when we discuss with our partners or we select or choose, we follow the same thing in our requirements in our RFQs, that these are things you need to do. That's the reason we are going to develop overall ecosystem more sustainable. Most important thing which is happening in the R&D, which is for futuristic thing, that eco design. I think the first speaker talked about the eco design. So basically strengthening design for environment, which means that whatever hardware also we are designing, it should have a longer leaf time, that we are able to upgrade the technological innovations by software, so that it is running, it is energy efficient, it is upgradable, which in turn helps in the circularity part of the product. Other thing is, the last but not the least, is recovering and refurbishing assets, increase recycle. Basically, we are helping our recyclers globally. We have a global contract with with the recyclers, and here in India, because of EPR obligation and all, we are engaging with recyclers, for the extraction of metals to the maximum intent possible. So that if the quality of this there, then there is a possibility of using them in repair or refurbishing. So that's the overall part of our decarbonization and circular transition. And in this, if you see further, just to add over here, that various scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, and various categories in different scopes, what we are trying to do. Even we are going for, let's say, car fleet, if you talk, the focus is more of having the battery operated cars, or let me say electric cars, basically, let me put it that way. So electric operation. Then whenever the air travels happen, there is a focus on reducing the air travel, and we measure that what kind of CO2 consumption is happening over here. So that's being captured. So similarly in supply chain, whatever goods we are purchasing and energy purchase, I just mentioned that. So this is the kind of parameter where we are focused in decarbonization and supply transition. Moving to the digital divide, again, if we talk about that, approximately 3.4 billion people across in the planet, they are still not connected by internet or broadband, what we say. Internet, then on the broadband part. So, and then they are not aware of the technological innovation, how to use it, how to do the, make use of the technology for their benefits. So our intent is that with our customers, we are running a lot of programs also with a lot of, let's say, NGO kind of organizations or UN organizations, so that we are developing joint women-led organizations that which we drive the community programs for our customers as well as for civil societies. In case of connectivity enhancements, we are working with our partners over here in India as well as in global for giving them economical solutions for that economical and large range kind of solutions which are able to give a larger penetration to the rural areas so that the broadband or internet connectivity is able to them at a economical rates. Strengthen our efforts to deploy extreme weather resilient connectivity solutions so that this is again the thing that it should not happen that there is a second grade or third grade equipments are being deployed. The quality of equipments, the quality of products, hardware, software is so that in case of any weather fluctuations, the network is not out of coverage, so that the people in those rural areas or are affected and they are not they are out of reach of any broadband or any connectivity part. So these are the kind of solutions which are being developed. So there is no differentiation between rural or urban kind of solution. It's a uniform thing which we are going to provide to anybody and everybody. Moving to supply chain resilience part. The first thing which I just mentioned is that the focus is to increase the share of recycled materials. So as we speak, our discussions with the recyclers is that they should use a more new innovative technologies so that they are able to extract the critical minerals, the rare earth metals, and so that if the quality of the extraction is good, then at least those metals can be utilized by the component manufacturers, and we get the same kind of things which are kind of products which we create to the virgin metals or virgin metals of different rare earth metals. So that kind of focus and discussion are always with these guys. As we speak, in case of plastics, we are using or push to our guys that we need to have certain percentage, like in our India guidelines, that they need to have this much percentage of recycled things in their supplies and then get away from the plastic. So these things are being done even in, we are trying to follow in our Chennai factory and in our global operations as well. This like supplier decarbonization, this is again we have discussed that even for the transition and logistics part, what kind of electric vehicles they are using. So that's what we are discussing with them. They should put into their requirement and use it. Responsible mineral sourcing. Again, these are the certain programs which we are working with our supply chain partners, that how they are extracting, how they are sourcing these materials, these rare earth metals, so that it should not be that they are spoiling the environment and for getting such kind of material. The cost of that extracting that material is high to the environment. Then we have a mechanism to do internal audits as well as we get our external audits of our overall operations within factory operations, as well as we do over the audits for our partners who are doing this kind of who are committing the things, and then we do the audit part of those guys and do the assessment where they are doing. Responsible use of technology, like I mentioned, that there is now the buzzword is apart from 4G, 5G or other fiber deployment, the AI, and because of AI, there's a now we have been seeing that in globally world over, the use of copper is going away. But lot of copper, if we talk about, let's say, in our country itself from last 70, 75 years, lot of copper has been laid out by the government operator or by the private operator for giving the connectivity. But maybe mostly it is now unutilized, but it is still lying up, in the earth only. So in globally somewhere we have seen that the operator like BT in UK, they are extracting these coppers and bringing that kind of metal to the market so that it can be recycled and utilized again. So in case of this thing, when the technology enhancement is happening, we know that there is a lot of fiber requirement. So we are focused on that when we are developing a technology on this, then the high capacity should be able to deliver on those fibers so that we are not laying multiple layer of fibers. So that's why we want to minimize the recourse of lead, silica and all the things over here. Development of responsible AI. I'll share some pillars in the next slide, at what is the purpose of responsible AI when we are talking of it. So other thing is that we are leading in the standardization along with the international bodies for the development of new technologies, both in AI, 6G, quantum, so that the design is more sustainable and we are able to deliver as we grow and say we have the safe planet. The pillars which I just want to talk about on the responsible AI, which is focused in our overall development, is that it should be fair, reliable, safe and secure, private. There should be transparency when we are using the AI, and sustainable growth, and people should be accountable to it, whether it is the agency who is providing or the platform which is providing the AI solutions, or the one who is using it for some other thing. We have seen a lot of deep fake and other things with the help of AI. So those all should be taken care. That's our focus in the form of responsible AI. Now let me just move to the some things. As a Nokia, it's a process that we have been, doing a lot of publication, which is not only in-house, it is for global people to consume, and we are sharing this with our customers as well, with our partners as well, and we are publishing various reports, just highlighting that on the slavery part, on the mineral reports, how the transition is going to happen, then annual sustainability, and last but not the least is our sustainability report, which we have just published in this year for last year in the month of April 2026. So this is a publicly available report, Nokia People and Planet and Impact Report, and which talks about even our targets, where we are, whether we are off track on something, or we are on track, or we are ahead of the curve. So all those things are mentioned. It's a big report of around 70-80 pages, which talks about Nokia story. Based on this, we have got some awards and accolades from various global agencies and organizations. And not to just mention, just to highlight that the latest one was as a ethical company from the Ethisphere. And in 2026, we maintained 2 positions amongst Section 8 companies in the communication industry. So a lot of engagements at global level, among customers, among partners, among industry organizations, UN organizations. We are deeply engaged in our sustainable development and innovation. Let me talk about a little bit on circularity. Our vision and plan for circularity is an infinite loop, basically. This is our ambition over here, that these are the 5 basic pillars in our circularity and infinite loop, where we are focused and working for the future. It has to be achieved. I don't say that it is 100% achieved. It is a plan. It's an ambition which we want to achieve. One, if I start from here, that design and develop circular products. It's a eco design, future upgradable, future proof, having long lead cycles, lead time, so that the end of life of the product can be enhanced from currently, let's say if it is 8 to 10 years, can it be 12 or 15 years? So those things are there. And at the parallel, it should be software upgradable as well. Source sustainable material, which I just talked about. Package.
Amit,
yeah.
I would just like to highlight that we are running slightly behind time, so maybe
Plus,
if
this
it's
I think
possible, we
this
can,
is my
yeah,
last slide.
next.
This is my last slide.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much.
So packaging, on the packaging front, I just talk about plastic or cardboard and other things. Then if I move over, extend life on the repair and repairability, traceability, hardware repair, refurbishment, longevity with the software solution. I just talk about refurbishment. Then on the 3 thing, this is the big program which we have to talk about in globally, basically, that how these products, when their end of life is happening, the buyback or take back should happen in a responsible manner, and so that they are reaching to the right recycler and they're doing the right form of recycling with the help of new technologies. So that's what we were talking about, recycling and turn waste into value. And we are partnering with these guys. Then on the 4th, we are talking about different business models for this. To achieve this, and the 5 is let's be efficient. So this is one of my last slide on circularity. Long can be discussed separately on these topics. So ultimately, if you say that we aim to grow connectivity while minimizing the use of virgin materials and other metals and resources for creation of our customers, and do the technological innovations. So this is my last, and any query I think we can discuss now or later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amit, for these valuable insights, especially when we talk about the role of Nokia on digital transformation and emerging technologies. And also, thank you for sharing the practical experiences about those pillars to accelerate circular economy, responsible use, and supply chain resilience. Sorry to cut you short
No
slightly,
problem.
but we are looking forward to extending this conversation and we go into the moderated discussion. With that, now I welcome our third speaker at the dialogue. I welcome Mr. Manish Kukreja, who is the Executive Director at RV Solutions, with an experience of over 30 years in telecom, ICT, and technology service sectors. He has expertise in technology lifecycle management, repair, refurbishment, and sustainable asset management. He actively promotes circular economy approaches that extend product life cycles and enhance resource efficiency across the telecom and electronics value chain. Now, I welcome you, Mr. Kukreja, to share your thoughts on when we talk about circular economy from the repair and product life extensions point of view. Over to you.
Thank
Thank you once again.
thank you, Parul. Thank you, Parul, for giving the opportunity. Thank you, all the organizers, GIZ, Atul Sinha ji, DOT officers, and the distinguished panelists. Thank you for giving the opportunity. On behalf of RV, I like to present today on circularity. Before I start on the agenda, I would take this opportunity to talk some interesting fact on circularity. Circularity in life. From nature to our tradition, circularity has always been our way of life. Nature principle is circular, law of karma. What we do comes back in some form or the other. Our timeless traditions, we have always used resources with care, maximizing their life and value. Made with clothes, milk bottle, toys, banana leaves, other metal. Clothes in past, these were reused across generations. Milk bottle reused by our milkmans. Toys shared, repaired, and enjoyed again and again. Banana leaves being served, the food being served on this. Other material soil to use and back to soil, clean and circular. Innovation can be circular. Air, air purifiers emerged after we polluted the air. Innovation today can help us heal and regenerate tomorrow. When we design, use, and recover resources in a continuous loop, we don't just reduce waste, we create lasting value for people and planet. How our Bharat civilization is the oldest and had believe in circularity of resources. If anything we have, it is used up to the last use. Let me now talk on the circularity on telecom, extending product life, the missing link in telecom circularity. The conversation goes beyond recycling and end of life. The biggest opportunity lies earlier in the life cycle, much earlier in the life cycle. The most sustainable equipment is the one whose life is extended through repair, refurbishment, and effective life cycle management. Repair is powerful, sustainable intervention. Why telecom needs circularity? India telecom sector is expanding rapidly to connect a digital nation. At the same time, it faces growing pressure to do more with less. Less waste, less carbon, and less resource consumption. Rapid network expansion, 4G, 5G, FTTH deployment continue to accelerate infrastructure growth. Exploding data demand, rising data consumption is driving continuous network investment. Faster technology refresh cycles. Functional equipment is often replaced before its useful life is fully utilized. Growing sustainability commitments. Operators are under increasing pressure to reduce carbon emissions and e-waste. The challenge is not building network, it's maximizing the value of asset we already have. Circularity begins before recycling. Deploy and at RV, we follow this. At RV, we not only deploy, maintain, repair, reuse, and extend. At RV, our mission is to do what we get from the environment, we give back. We not only take, we give back. And Our complete process is followed. We deploy, maintain, repair, refurbish, redeploy, and extend the product life cycle. Recycle is the final option. Recycling is the last option, not the first. What are we contributed in financial year 25-20? Every year we are adding value through our sustainable initiatives. Our circularity initiatives are delivering measurable environmental and business impact at scale. 2,100 plus tons e-waste diverted just by our repair initiatives on the products which were either declared end of life or beyond economical repairs. We worked on that, our team worked, and we brought this kind of e-waste diversion and brought a lot of value to our customers, operators, OEMs across the country and outside country. 65 plus million kg CO2 emission savings, avoided emissions through extended equipment life and circular practices. 380 plus million kilowatt hour energy conservation, energy conserved through efficient operations and product life extensions. 700 plus crores capex optimization, annual capex savings to our customers through reuse, repair, and redeployment, up to 75% reduction in energy consumptions. So these kinds of value is being delivered year on year to our customers. What we are learning, fourth key things, repair is becoming a business strategy. Repair is no longer just a maintenance activity. Operators increasingly view repair and refurbishment as strategic tools to optimize capex, improve asset utilization, and support sustainable goals. Extending life is better than replacing. We extend the life of the product. That's our motto, initiative, and our complete technology team works on day and night to enhancing the ways, different ways and means to extend the product life cycle. Repair, refurbishment, life cycle extension offer deliver comparable performance while significantly reducing environmental impact and resource consumption. Data-driven life cycle management is essential. Visibility into asset health, usage pattern, performance enables predictive maintenance, better planning, and informed circularity decisions. Life extension delivers business and sustainability value. Extending asset life reduces e-waste, lower carbon emissions, conserves resources, improves financial returns through capex. Circularity is not single action, it's a system. These insights help us make better choice today for a more sustainable tomorrow. To our customers, there have been many cases where we have actually brought value where they were not able to use their equipment. Things were out of support, and our team worked and made that thing and extended the life of the product. So not only by repairs, ensuring the regular maintenance services to them, by committing the SLAs and assuring and bringing the trust in the repairs that we deliver at our way. The future of telecom circularity, smarter practices today, sustainable network tomorrow, building a circular, sustainable, and value-driven telecom ecosystem. 5 key things: design for circularity, embedded circular principles from start, modular design, durable materials, and easier repairability. AI analytics for circular value. Use AI to predict failure, optimize maintenance, and identify the best option for repair, refurbishment, or redeployment. Digital twin and life cycle visibility. Create digital twins end-to-end visibility to track asset performance and life cycle impact in real time. Traceability and transparency. Ensure trusted data and traceability across the value chain to drive compliance and accountability and customer confidence. Collaborate for system change. We urge industry partner, cross-industry policymaker and ecosystem players to create enablers and scale circular solutions. Our vision is circular by design, efficient by operation, and responsible by choice. Together, let's build high-performing network that are resource efficient, future-ready, and leave a positive impact on people and the planet. We at RV Solution not only repair, maintain on the traceability side, we ensure the right softwares, the traceability things are there to give the customer the complete trust in the extended life cycle solution that we give, extending product life, creating lasting value. Circularity is not about managing waste, it's about maximizing value. Every asset repaired, every product life extended, every replacement avoided. This creates economic and environmental value simultaneously. That's what at RV we have been proving to our customer day in, day out. India has the skill, talent, infrastructure, and innovation capability to become a global leader in telecom circularity. Not only in India, outside India also we have proven our mettle and have been extended across the globe now our services. The opportunity before us is to transform repair from an operational activity into a strategic pillar of sustainable growth. Product lifecycle extension, reduced e-waste, optimized resources, and sustainable network growth. To conclude, I would leave the audience with thought. Circularity is not simply about managing waste, it's about maximizing value. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kukreja, also for keeping the track of time. Thank you so much for highlighting this, the critical role of repair, refurbishment, and product life extension in circular, in advancing circularity, especially when you talk about strengthening reverse value chain and promoting asset management, like you've highlighted, it demonstrated that how circular business models can generate both environmental and economical benefits. Thank you so much once again for your insights and experiences, and we also look forward to hearing more from you in the moderated discussion to be followed.
Thank you. Thank you, Parul.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you. With that, now it is my pleasure to invite our final speaker, a final expert speaker, Dr. Henning Never, Circularity Project Lead at Deutsche Telekom. Dr. Never leads Deutsche Telekom's group-wide circularity strategy and brings extensive experience in telecom strategy, regulation, and sustainability. He has an extensive experience of 20 plus years in the telco industry and held various positions in the field of strategy, regulation, and governance. Um, I now welcome you, Dr. Never, to share on the global best practices and experiences from the telecom sector. The floor is yours.
Well, well, thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm going to share my slides. I hope you can see them. I'm
Yes,
going to
they are now
enlarge them. You
visible.
can see them.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I have 15 minutes, right? So I'll try to be in
Yes.
time.
Thank
Very,
you so
very
much.
briefly, what am I going to talk about today? Basically two things. Number one is how do we at Deutsche Telekom interpret and implement circularity? So what is that for us and how do we implement it? And more importantly, how do we measure circularity? So it's going to be a bit technical. And then I have a couple of examples just to show you what that means in practice. But before we start, just a very, very brief overview about who we are. So I'm from Deutsche Telekom, responsible for our circularity group-wide strategy. We are the largest telco in Europe, the second largest in the US, and I think I just looked it up, the sixth largest in the world. And we have made sustainability one key aspect of our corporate strategy. And what does that mean? That means that we basically focus on two aspects. One is CO2 carbon emission reductions. That's what basically every large company is doing, and everyone has basically the same targets, meeting the net zero targets in 2040, or at least for Europe, the latest date is 2050. So we have the targets to reduce Scope 1 and 2. We have already reduce them to zero. So we are the first large German company to have achieved net zero in scope 1 and 2, which admittedly for a telco is easier to achieve than for an industrial producing company. We have the target to reduce scope 3 overall by 55% until 2030 and be net zero also across the 3 scopes by 2040. However, what I would like to talk to you today is our circularity strategy, where we say we want to be 100% circular around network and devices. And of course, the question is, what does that mean? As we have also heard in one of the previous presentations, circularity is not a singular thing. This is for us very important. So when we started our circularity journey, we are focused on waste. That's for most of the companies, I guess, the starting point, but we pretty early learned that circularity has to go across the whole value chain. And basically what that means for us is number one, and that is the main reason for starting a circular journey in the first place, is actually to have an impact on resource conservation by being more resource efficient. That's basically what it is all about in the first place, right? We want to reduce the impact our industry has, particularly when it comes to metals mining, on the environment. Yeah. So there is this potential for implementing circular business models to reduce the impact by around 30% on a global scale, which is massive if you think of the environmental impact mining has around the world. Just think of large-scale deforestation, groundwater issues, pollution, things like that. This is the main thing we are looking at. And then, of course, we are also looking on what is called the secondary raw material market, like making sure that we come to an environment where we have a closed loop, where we collect and recycle equipment, and particularly e-waste for our industry, and use those resources to produce new equipment again. So that means all these R strategy, like refurbishment, reuse, recycling, and that also means that we have to change our business models to fit into these strategies. And last but not least, the impact of circular business models on, in particular, scope 3 emissions reduction is massive. It's around 50%. Without circular business models, we won't meet our CO2 targets. That is a fact. So the earlier we start on implementing circular business models and thus reducing the need for producing things in the first place, the earlier we start, the more promising is it that we will meet our targets. So that is just, for us, that's basically the overall picture for us when we look at circularity. But of course, the question still remains, okay, now this is all theoretic, it's all nice, and everyone is talking about this. Everyone is talking about that this is an ecosystem, that no one can do it alone. This is all nice. But what now? How do we start as a company? And we have hundreds of white papers and frameworks and regulations and certifications and publications all over around circularity, but we still don't have a common understanding on the main questions. What exactly means circularity for companies? And even if we talk in our industry, when I talk to my peers, the understanding and the interpretation of what circularity is actually all about is very different. So if we don't even can align on a common understanding, how can we then come to a common approach? So how important is it for us as a company? How do we implement it? How do we measure circularity? How do we know how circular we are? For carbon, we know. We have a global way of measuring carbon emissions, and we can compare ourselves to other telcos or other industries. That's all fine. For circularity, we don't have that. We don't know if we are more circular than our peers. or who is the leader in circularity. We don't have a metric. We don't have that. And we have developed, and I want to very, very briefly share this with you, an approach which we now want to make within our industry associations as a kind of a global standard for measuring circularity. And we call that the TCS, the Telco Circularity Score. And what does it mean? So if you look at the left page, of the left on the left side of this page, you see our framework. That's kind of the waste framework from the European Commission, but that's not so important. More important is that this shows the steps we have to take when we want to implement circularity, starting with waste treatment, waste disposal, waste recovery, waste recycling. But then, as we have also heard in one of the previous presentations, it goes on extending useful life of products, network equipment, devices, customer premises equipment. The longer equipment is being used, the better. And then, of course, prevention. So if we don't produce anything in the first place, that's kind of the silver bullet, right? That goes for packaging. We heard that from Nokia. Every plastic we don't even have put into our packaging, we don't need to dispose of, and we don't need to produce that. So this is something we have defined for all of those rungs, specific KPIs. We have set ourselves goals, very specific targets. We have defined every KPI very meticulously and have defined targets. What do we want to achieve 2030 and then going forward? We don't want anything to be put into landfill. We don't want anything from, in particular, e-waste to be incinerated. Every e-waste we have has to go into recycling, 100%. We have set ourselves targets for collecting e-waste. Everything we own in our network, it's pretty easy. We know where that is and how much that is. But the devices we sell, we want to have them back. We want to have the devices from our customers back. We know that there are millions of phones sitting in drawers, gathering dust. We want them back to achieve our recycling targets. We have set ourselves specific targets for getting equipment back for refurbishing. We have set ourselves refurbishing quotas, either for fixed line devices, but also for mobile devices. We want to give devices a second life. We are measuring our progress on that. And then we have prevention. We want to increase the circular material we are using in our network. We have clear discussions with our vendors on increasing circular materials, secondary raw materials. We are discussing quotas for how much recycled copper, how much recycled aluminum do we want to have in our network equipment. And then we have packaging requirements. We don't want any packaging containing with single-use plastics. We have achieved that already for our consumer devices. We are talking with our vendors on that as well. And it's and as we have just heard from Nokia, they are working on this as well. And then we compound, because it's difficult, right, to have 15 KPIs and to communicate 15 KPIs internally and externally. No one will listen. 15 KPIs is way too complex. So we compound all those KPIs into a score. And we call that the TCS, the Telecom Circularity Score. And if for all of our KPIs we meet our targets, then we are at 10. If for all our KPIs we are at 50%, then we are at a 5, right? So that's basically the logic. And at the moment, we are around a 6.9, which is pretty okay-ish, I would say. We are not that good, but we are also not that bad, so we still have some way to go. But what is rather important, I don't want to go into the details, it's a bit too complicated, I guess. But what you can see, and now for the first time ever, we have an overview for the management, and we have quarterly meetings on this, where they can immediately see for which KPI are we on track, and for which KPI are we having kind of challenges. And you can see that here for the larger bars, everything is okay. For the smaller bars, we still have to step up. So before that, it was a complete black box. Now we have taken a torchlight and we light into this black box. And now everyone can see where is the homework we still have to do and where are we almost there. And this is super important because now for the first time ever, the whole organization is engaged in making circularity happen, which we didn't have before. Because if you don't have a target and you don't ask people to deliver on those targets, nothing happens, right? That's basically the logic in a company. You need to incentivize people. You need to give them targets. You need to give them guidance. And this is what we have done with this. So it looks a bit more complicated, I guess, than it actually is. But I want to give you, for the remaining 5 minutes, I want to give you a couple of examples. What does that mean for us? So one example is, and we start with our own T-branded, as we call them, devices. So the CPEs, the customer premises equipment, mainly set-top boxes for IPTV and DSL routers, where we have, we call it green magenta, a assessment, which has also been externally validated. And we have the goal to always have the most sustainable device on the market compared to what is standard on the market. And we have a very thorough assessment, and we measure the energy consumption, we measure the material input, we measure production energy going into this. And only if they pass this assessment, we are going to produce or purchase the device. So for instance, very practically, for our latest router, that means that we have achieved to produce the router in more than 90-95% recycled plastic. We have changed the coloring. Previously, the color was white, but we can't get pure white recyclate, so we changed the whole thing to black. We have recycled materials in the internal structure. We have a fully circular, sustainable packaging containing only of cardboard, unbleached, soy-based, non-mineral oil-based inks, no single-use plastic whatsoever. Everything is covered in paper. And we have reduced the CO2 emissions compared to the previous version by 53 kilograms per device. So we have around 20% less energy consumption because we integrated power saving and idle mode functionalities into the device. So this is just one example of what that practically means. Another example is, as I told you, we want to get the old smartphones back, right? We want to take responsibility for the things we sell. You can also argue, and this is a big discussion we're having with the handset suppliers, we are doing their job, yeah? The Samsungs, the Apples of this world, they should also make sure that they get the devices back. They are not doing this, so we have to do that for the time being. We have defined collection boxes. They are in all our shops. They all look the same. They can be integrated into the point of sale, into the shops. We call that kind of green walls. We have plants there. You can add screens where we can display some messages on that. They have fire detection sensors if something goes wrong with the batteries. So this is how this looks like, and this is now being implemented in all our shops so that we can actually meet our take-back targets we have defined for ourselves. Another example is we have developed and started mid of last year, so it's now in its full first year, kind of an eBay marketplace style for used network equipment. We are active in several European countries, and if one equipment, network equipment, is no longer needed in one country, we put this on the marketplace and then we ship that over. So from Greece to Austria or from Germany to Hungary or whatever. And by this, we significantly reduce CO2 emissions for devices which are refurbished. The reduction potential is around 80% less CO2, but we also save capex on that, right? So this is something which is something where the management is really looking into, because everything that saves money is, of course, highly welcome also by the management. And this is one of the examples where sustainability, circularity and business logic goes hand in hand. So this is just one example on the network side. These are just to give you a flavor on our requirements for packaging, which, as I said, we have already managed to be 100% compliant for all our own T-branded devices, but also for all handsets, mobile handsets we are selling. And we are now in discussions with all our major network suppliers to also be compliant on this. For network equipment, it's obviously more difficult because it's heavy, very expensive equipment. And also we have the maritime shipments where we have to deal with the issue of humidity, and therefore we have to cover equipment. And we would make one small exception for network technology on our zero plastic policy. We would allow moisture protection with plastic bags, but they have to be coming from 100% recycled sources. So this is for packaging, and I think this is the last example I brought to you. Yeah, this is the last one. So, and I think I just made it in 15 minutes, I guess. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Never, for sharing the insightful experiences and practical lessons from Deutsche Telekom. Indeed, these reflections on integrating circularity into corporate strategy, and also, like you highlighted, the measurable targets and KPIs, and these embedding these circular principles does bring us valuable insights for when we talk about Indian telecom sector and the bringing circularity here. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
With that, now let us deliberate and move to the moderated discussion on priority pathways for advancing circularity in India's telecom sector. The discussion will be moderated by Dr. Reva Prakash. She is an environmental policy and resource efficiency advisor with EU India Initiative on Resource Efficiency and Circular Economy at GIZ India. She has supported the development of India's circular economy vision, strategy, and action plan for the telecom sector with Department of Telecommunications. Her work focuses on advancing circularity, resource efficiency, and sustainable value chains in the ICT and electronic sector, along with others. May I request Dr. Eva to kindly take over the session? And I also invite Ms. Noemi Pralat, Mr. Amit Kumar Anand, Mr. Manish Kukreja, and Dr. Never to join into the discussion. Reva, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Parul, and thank you to all the speakers for also their very insightful, informative presentations. And since we have some 15 minutes left, I would like to pose one key question to all the experts present here and request them to sort of reflect from their experiences, their inputs on that. So you all have talked about circular economy and the need for circular economy and kind of hierarchy as well. Where do you see, my key question to all of you is, where do you see the biggest intervention that is needed in the telecom sector in the coming years? Where should that focus be? And also connected to that, where do you see the area for collaboration between different stakeholders, whether that's between stakeholders within a particular country or also across different countries between EU and India? And so I would like to first maybe invite Noemi. Noemi, if you could please reflect basis your experience, please.
Thank you very much, Reva. On the first part of the question, we've heard a lot through the presentations about what we usually call the waste hierarchy. So the 5 R's principle: refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle, or before recycling. But recently in the space where now hearing of 9 hours. So before, refusing, you also have rethinking systems. That's what I tried to present as well a bit in the presentation. You also can add repair, remanufacture, and recovery of materials. So as we're looking at the telecom sector and telecom equipment life extension, let these principles inspire the change for near-term intervention. Zooming in on India, of course, the telecom sector is large. We've heard of the number of subscriptions, the extent of the infrastructure, but there's also already initiatives for trackable equipment inventories and established operators. We've heard from several presenters on the operator vendor relationship. So immediate action could focus, for example, on mutually reinforcing interventions. So you're looking at extending the life of telecom equipment through repair, refurbishment, redeployment, but also establishing the traceable reverse logistics systems for end-of-life telecom assets. I'd like to emphasize as well, we have seen examples provided by Henning Never or other presenters. Zooming in on the consumer side on the discussion and less on the infrastructure equipment, there's an importance of telecom operators in awareness raising for consumers. Some of the people attending this webinar might sell, distribute, manufacture equipment in India. And that is a direct interface to the consumer base to incentivize the general population to bring back their electronics rather than store them at home or dispose of them with general household waste. So it's also about facilitating the conservation of materials within the system. Voluntary initiatives, of course, they go a long way. May they be by sector, by company. We've heard a few examples of initiatives throughout the webinar today, which might inspire others to take action.
Thanks a lot, Naomi, for that. Indeed, operator-vendor relationship, I think, is also very important, especially for the telco sector. And so with that, I'll come to Amit. Amit, you also shared about all the work that Nokia is doing in the sector and also what it is trying to achieve with that infinity loop. It's looking at a lot of things very comprehensively. So again, my question again, coming back to you is, where do you see the most, need for intervention in the coming years in the telecom sector? And also, what could be the most important area of collaboration then in that respect? Over to you.
Right. No, yeah, thanks for the question. Basically, the most important thing which we have been discussing is now the extraction part. So one is like Naomi also touched upon is that take back. It is going to the right recyclers who are using the right and new innovative technology to extract to the maximum possible extent. And then we are able to, as if we talk about India, then we should be able to use those extracted metals, the rare earth, the precious metals within India. Because sometimes this even the extracted metals are going out for some other countries use. So that we need to, really control and we are able to utilize that. The quality of extraction and new technology, that's very important. So the value chain, basically, once the equipment or anything is out end of life, it should go to the right resource, right recycler, getting the recycled, and then it's back to for the circularity for the manufacturing process. So that's the first very important thing over here. And same thing, I will talk about the batteries also. Because now because of AI and the tower sites and other things, a lot of batteries are being used. Lithium ion, again, it's a rare resource, right? As a country we talk about. So there again, we need to see that how we can, make recycling of these batteries which are getting utilized. So, maybe we are using in urban areas somewhere where less battery is required. So how we can make use of this recycled battery at some other places for that particular use. So that recyclability part is much more where like Naomi also talked about the incentivization comes from this thing or the schemes are there. That's more important. Now coming to the second part of your question is that collaboration. So that's very important. Basically, we had a EPR compliance, so there are a lot of discussion here and there whether we are following the global standards or not. So if we have a collaboration and with the different organization like ITU or with the EU also, that what kind of common frameworks and standards we are following up. So that will really help, drive, because the global OEMs, it's easy for them, try to drive the global policy rather than regional or country specific policies. So that's very important for us. And then the focus comes from the top. So the standards for circularity, the reuse part also, because whether you can use 100% recycled metals into your new products, that's a question, because you need to check from your research and development teams that the quality of the product and the life cycle will be same or not. So all those things have to be seen. So it's a gradual process that standardization has to come also into place. So those things, if we are there with the global organization collaborations, then definitely everybody will follow the same path.
Yeah, thanks for that, Amit, also for highlighting that we need to also build these, value chains and have standards for reutilization of secondary raw materials, and also for bringing batteries into the conversation, because I mean, we didn't share it in this forum, but GIZ and Parul is also involved with that, is also looking at how the old batteries, EV batteries, can be utilized at different sites as a best solution. And there are also, I've seen that there are also some examples globally on where in telecom sector this is also being done. So we've also been thinking if this is something that India can also take up. And yeah, thanks a lot, Amit, for bringing in those points as well into the conversation. And coming to you, Manish, you have been, I mean, RV Solutions has also been providing the services to a lot of telcos in India. So, based on your experience, where do you see the most, action that is needed, or an area of opportunity, based on your experience, where we can, work on circularity in the coming time, and what kind of collaboration would be needed also from your end? I mean, what kind of collaboration you feel can also, develop the repair economy in the sector even more? So over to you, Manish.
Yeah, hi, Eva. Thank you. Thank you for bringing in this question. And in the last event also, I shared that this requirement, and again coming up. Uh, Answering the first question, to priority intervention. One is product life cycle extension through repair and refurbishment. That should be the promotion which will bring in EVs generation, reduction, lower carbon emission, and optimize capital expenditure. I showed in my presentation also the kind of value that we have brought into our customers. And the second is digital lifecycle intelligent traceability. With AI presence and the way the monitoring system today, that can actually help in extending the life. If the health of the equipment is getting timely monitored, I'm sure it is improving the life cycle. So one, by monitoring, where OEMs are contributing a lot, bringing in a lot of values to their customers, operators, and on repair side, we are making sure that whatever needs of our customer is, we make sure every product is repaired, even if it is declared end of life or BR. Then also we work and ensure that guarantee and SLAs and trust is built. Now coming to the collaboration which is needed, my all three support systems are there. One is OEM, the other is policymaker, and the customer. All three sides. One is I need authorization from the OEM, which would further enhance the trust of the customer. Today, my biggest challenge comes, though I am meeting the SLA, I have even gone up to extending the AMCs. But if I get the support of authorization from the OEM, I think I would not only support OEM today, where when end customers have a multi-OEM environment. It is not now one OEM customer. Like in previous days, it's only one OEM customer market is there. Now each operator has multi-OEM product, and everyone needs everybody's support. So with that, we being multi-OEM agnostic technology provider, we're having a big ecosystem doing almost 50K unit repairs a month, only need support of OEM's authorization. Second is policy, where government promotes this. I want my humble request to government is, in terms of launching repair in India as a national agenda, as a national mission, which will actually enhance repair. And during my MWC visit, I saw the lot of attraction, and across world this need is there. of getting, and everybody said about it, that the product has to be extended, the life cycle of the product has, and we have proven that the product is not to be thrown in the telecom, and we will ensure that the life cycle is extended. The only support from the OEMs will help us to further enhance. Second, the policies, so that the end customer trust is there. And third is the end customer. They should trust on service partners like us and giving us opportunity to ensure that their KPIs are met. As Dr. Never was saying, that the KPIs are there, we can definitely contribute in ensuring that whatever network equipment is there, it is extended before opting the option of putting it to e-waste, recycling the extract. I would suggest extending the life cycle, because over the night, no network equipment can be replaced. It's a huge cost. Though there are upgrades which is happening every day, infra upgrades happen, but overnight no network is replaced. So it needs certain time frame to be supported by somebody who is multi OEM, and with certain OEM authorization, I'm sure we would be able to meet those kinds of requirements. So this kind of collaboration would definitely contribute in ensuring this sustainability initiative and giving back to the environment. And in India, where it's a huge network, there it's a desperate need, and not only in India, outside India also, I think this is needed. And I would close by this saying that authorization and policies can definitely bring in, and we are there to meet that requirement.
Thanks a
Thank you.
lot.
Yeah, you are
Neva,
on
you're
mute.
still on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes
Yes.
my
Yeah, yeah.
laptop is putting me on mute. Yeah. So thanks a lot for that, Manish, for bringing also this need for collaboration between OEMs and service providers like yourself. Lastly, I will come to Dr. Henning. Dr. Henning, thanks a lot for that really informative presentation. I also really learned a lot on what is also happening in Germany with regards to circular economy in the telecom sector. I mean, in your experience, since Deutsche Telekom has been undertaking this agenda and has been working on it, in your experience, where do you see now as the next step for circularity, most important step that needs to be taken, given that there is also a lot of development in the sector? I mean, it's a sector that continuously is developing in terms of technology, and also in rolling all of that technology. And also, what kind of collaboration has also enabled Deutsche Telekom to really, work towards circularity in all these years that it has done? Over to you, Dr. Henning.
Yeah, thank you. So if we really want to drive circularity forward, we as telcos, we basically have to change our business model. We have to move away from very short replacement cycles by selling ever more devices, for instance. And this is for a telco easier to achieve than for an OEM, right? Because we don't make our revenues by selling devices. We sell services, and we have to make sure that our SIM card is in the device. And it doesn't matter whether this device is 1 year old or 5 years old. It doesn't matter at all. So, what I see now is that this is indeed changing. We see that in Europe, at least, the market for buying refurbished is ever more increasing. And there are projections that in a couple of years, this will be 50-50 split between new devices and refurbished devices. We have changed and experimented with business models where we lease devices. 80% of our CPEs are leased, so that means we get them back, and then we can refurbish them, we can take them to recycling. We don't sell them any longer, we lease them. The same now for devices. We have launched something we call forward trade-in, which is kind of a lease where you get an immediate discount on a device and on a tariff, and you have to return the device after 3 years, or you can buy it after 3 years and then keep it. So we no longer think of just selling something and then forgetting about it, but the minute we sell something, we think about how to get it back. I think this is something that definitely has to change, and if we change this business model, the rest will come along. And when it comes to collaboration, and I think this has already been voiced by the other speakers, what is absolutely essential is a collaboration between us as service providers and device manufacturers, hardware manufacturers in the network arena and in the device arena. And what do I mean by this? We have, as we have a rather fast technology cycles, the way we currently deal with those technology cycles is that we replace equipment once a new cycle has started. And in between, of course, we try to recycle and reuse. But once we move into a next generation technology, the thing is scrapped and then we buy the new one. That has to stop. We have to come to a more modular design of our equipment where we just change the parts of the equipment which actually are new, and the rest we keep. And to give you an example, and there's something we are exploring on a smaller scale for DSL routers, is the main reason for changing DSL routers is a different Wi-Fi standard. And the reason for changing and moving to a new equipment is that the Wi-Fi chip is soldered on the PCB. And then if you have a new Wi-Fi standard, you have to throw away the whole device. So we are now going to split the PCB. And we have the Wi-Fi module on a second PCB, and we only change that. And that can also be done in recycling, and we reuse the rest. So these are things that definitely have to change. And then I'm pretty confident the economics will play along, because it will make the whole ecosystem more resilient when it comes also to supply chain disruptions, as we have seen recently, but it will also make manufacturing cheaper over the long time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Henning. Indeed, I think all the speakers have voiced about the collaboration between the service providers and the equipment manufacturers, operators, vendors. So also thanks for bringing that in, and also the need for modularity. I mean, as also a consumer, I also feel that this constant change in the technology, in the services, also leads to this, push towards having to constantly upgrade our devices at home, also all kind of consumer premises equipment. So thank you for bringing that in also as a service provider. And thanks a lot. I think we are actually 3 minutes over our current webinar time, but we did have a slot for inviting questions. We had some questions earlier, and I think some of the speakers have already addressed them. If there is also, I think, one question for Dr. Henning, and it talks about, has Deutsche Telekom put in place incentives to encourage customers to return the mobile devices or the consumer premises equipment? Can you please share a few having significant impact? So that's one question. I'll quickly just read if there are others. I think there was one question on if any country has so far enacted laws on extending life of handset, refurbishing the mobile handset. And I see that Nomi has already responded to that. So I think we have just one question that's left. So I'll request Dr. Henning to talk about if there's an incentive that you have, for the customers, or how do you encourage them to return their consumer premises equipment? You've already talked about leasing. So, I mean, I'm aware how that sort of works, but request if you could elaborate a little bit more on that. Thank you.
Yes, happy to do so. So And basically, we have to differentiate between really old devices, so the 20-year-old Nokias and things like that, which are hiding in the drawers, and newer devices which have a business value and can be refurbished and resold then, right? So we are addressing both of those segments, and we start with kind of awareness and advertising campaigns. That's the first step, right? Making sure our message is in our stores, the message is on the online website, on social media. We work with charity organizations, with schools, with kindergarten, with churches. They can rent collection boxes from us, and then they spread them for companies, for instance, so that they can make their own activities around that. And then we donate for every device that is collected, even if it's just old devices. They can choose to which charity organization we are going to donate. So this is very successful because it engages communities on this. We have done raffles and things. So last year you could win a 1 kilogram of gold for those who turning old phones, because we wanted to highlight that there's also tiny little piece of gold in the devices, things like that. But we also and this also depends on, of course, on the financial situation of the NatCos. We had this in the past, that we also gave cash outs for devices that were returned. This was super successful. But of course, the more successful that was, the more expensive it got. So we have to keep a balance on that. We are, for newer devices which have an economic value and which are then going into refurbishment, we strongly work together with the OEMs because they are interested in getting their new devices on the market, and we use their marketing funds, and we have schemes like, okay, return your old phone if you buy a new Samsung, if you buy a new Apple, and then you get 250 euros a discount, things like that, which are also successful, and then we refurbish the devices. But the most promising, as I said, is now the change in the business models, like the device as a service, which is something we are rolling out into our B2B customers, where we exactly then know when are we getting those devices back. We roll out 1,000 devices to a company. They have a lease on that for 2 years, and then we know exactly when are we going to get those devices back, and mostly they are in good condition as well. And forward trading, as I said, is also a very promising way for getting back devices. So it's a multi-layered approach, but yes, we do incentivize our customers to get the devices back.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Henning, for also sharing all those examples. I can imagine that the more successful the campaigns got, they became more expensive, especially maybe the gold one. And I see a lot of questions coming up now, but have already shot over by 8 minutes. So I think I would like to thank all the participants for sharing those questions, and I would also like to share that we will have a few more webinars coming up. So we'll also try to tackle these questions in those webinars, since our speakers also have to sort of leave and attend to other work. But I would like to thank all the speakers for an engaging discussion and for answering our questions. And I would like to hand it back over to Parul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reva, and thank you, Reva, for moderating this discussion, and thank you for all of the panelists and the dignitary at the beginning for sharing your valuable insights and experiences and perspective. Like Reva has highlighted, this webinar marks the first dialogue in the broader knowledge exchange and capacity building that we want to bring in on circular economy of telecom, and we'll look forward to having all of you and all the participants in our next dialogues in the series. With that, we come to a close of today's dialogue. thank you again for all the participants for being there with us for all this duration and for sharing your questions. On behalf of the organizing team from GIZ as well as the Department of Telecom and NCAT, I thank you all and have a nice day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.